All right, everybody. If we'll sort of settle down, we'll get going here. Everybody except Robert Dickey. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the indulgence. Allow me to step away. There's a group at Georgia Tech I needed to speak to, and for those that sent me a smart aleck text message, no, they didn't offer me the head coaching job. That's not where I went. So we're going to get started this afternoon. Our next presenter is Brent Weil. He's the Vice President of Workforce Development for the Wireless Infrastructure Association. Brent, I said Brett. It's Brent. And Brent, you're going to join us online, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
There you are. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, sir. There you go.
Good afternoon. Thanks. Thank you, Chairman. Really like to thank you and the members of the subcommittee for your time and allowing us to address the important issue of training for the telecommunications industry and as an economic driver of the of careers for Georgians, and the chance to be able to really address the overall workforce needs of our industry and where things are going there, joined by our Executive Vice President, Tim House. I'm Brent Weil, Vice President of Workforce Development for the Wireless Infrastructure Association. Despite our name, WI represents the broad needs of the telecommunications industry. Our members include cellular carriers, infrastructure companies, manufacturers and contractors that build and maintain the communications network we all depend on to work, learn, and connect. It's never been more important than ever, and that's something that I think was borne out about the importance of broadband and telecommunications that we saw over the last 2+ years. Saw really firsthand the importance of the industry, and it's something that I think growing recognition. Not only is it incredibly important as a means of communication, as a means for education and training, but also as a job creator within the United States. And we're delighted to be able to present to you what our industry has done really in response to that, and offer our assistance and partnership, as that's something that continues forward within Georgia really to take a look at. We also recognize that we're joined by a large number today of education across the education network there, K-12 through higher education, apprenticeship, and those are all things that we really recognize as part of a continuum that is there. And actually would like to commend the state of Georgia for your recognition of the importance really of coordinating across the K-12 system, higher education, workforce development, registered apprenticeship, economic development, that are all incredibly important pieces of the puzzle that's there. WIA really recognizes that the strength of our telecommunications network depends on having skilled workers that we need. And WIA has long been a leader in education and workforce development. I'd like to share with you our activities to achieve that objective. We have 3 areas that we've really focused on in our activities. The first is registered apprenticeship, which we've pursued to help employers to upskill the workforce and open our occupations to a wide range of people that range everything from people that are coming directly out of the K-12 system, people that have higher education, including community college opportunities that are there at the university level as well. The second is training and education, and WIA's Telecommunications Education Center that we have put forward that is there on behalf of the industry, with industry recognized and sponsored training that meets the competency needs for careers within telecommunications broadly, that have been recognized by our industry and have been used both by companies, been used by universities and education systems, the workforce system, as important courses and a growing library of materials that's available for that. And the third are workforce services that we offer for state agencies and other key stakeholders. We serve as a workforce intermediary, a convener, a subject matter expert we're able to really bring together the best minds of our industry, the needs of our industry, and working in partnership with education, workforce development, economic development to be able to achieve those kinds of objectives. A couple of highlights that I would just note on here. One is that we are the national sponsor of the Telecommunications Industry Registered Apprenticeship Program, or TIRAP, and have been since 2017. Through that, we've been able to gain recognition from the U.S. Department of Labor as an industry intermediary for the telecommunications industry, and are part of a Registered Apprenticeship Center of Excellence that's really focused on modernizing the apprenticeship system, and especially to help advise on how it can really work for emerging industries such as ours. I will note also that Tim House serves on the Federal Telecommunications Workforce Interagency Working Group that actually came out of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and that is there to advise on the workforce needs associated with national investment in broadband equity and access. And in light of the hearing that we have today and focusing on education, would note that we've gained recognition from the American Council on Education and credit recommendation of 14 community college credit hours for our TIRAP apprenticeship for tower technicians, and we're really proud of that. And so we'll dive deeper into then what this can mean and how we've been able to work in states and communities to be able to execute some real change. The first, as I noted, is our deep commitment to registered apprenticeship. As the national sponsor, we have 78 employers that are currently enrolled in this apprenticeship program, have registered more than 3,500 apprentices across the country. We do have 14 occupations. This is a nationally recognized program with the U.S. Department of Labor, and is something that we've been deeply committed to growing and expanding, and have been able to do that in partnership with many states and localities to be able to do it, recognizing that it's our employers really that do make up the body of what's there, and they have really been able to buy into that as a means by which they can upskill their workers, share with pre-apprentice providers and with organizations the ability to come into our industry and put forward the kinds of competencies that are required to be able to grow within our industry. We have now 14 occupations that have been recognized as by the U.S. Department of Labor and are registered. One area of note, I would say, is that Georgia's high demand careers does include the telecommunications equipment installers and repairers occupation. And that's actually something that ties directly into TIRAP, and something that I know employers in Georgia would be happy to really help to connect with in ways that can be able to work there. Our first occupation was our telecommunications tower technician. We have grown this to include both leads and foremen, to include utilities occupations that are critically important to connections of the wired and wireless telecommunications network that we have. We have a fiber optic technician, as well as newer occupations, including small cell technicians, in-building and wireless installation technicians, and foremen as well, and really aim to represent the broad array of occupations within growing occupations that are part of the growing wireless and telecommunications industry. Supplementing and really tying in with this is the role of WIA as a content and and curriculum expert, and are putting forward then our Telecommunications Education Center to improve the education, the quality of work, and safety within our industry. And we have more than 50 courses that we have developed in partnership with industry subject matter experts and educators to really put forward the cutting edge and needed both fundamental and technical areas of education that we've been able to produce on behalf of the entire industry to understand the skills and competencies that are needed, and then be able to provide that in a dynamic number of ways, including online education, in-person education, as well as virtual learning that we've been able to put forward. This model that we have is designed to be custom built, that we are able to work with entities to put together the kind of program that best meets the needs of learners and employers within a region. An example of this is the 5G Readiness Program that we were able to put together on a custom basis to help really establish the kinds of fundamental training and education and really gap training that was needed for people that had a baseline in STEM and business careers to be able to prepare them for careers within 5G. That included everything from telecommunications basics and wireless basics. Also included fiber and in-building installation. Really a broad-ranging but boot camp approach that was designed to be able to supplement and rapidly prepare people to both make them aware of careers within 5G and telecommunications, as well as to give them some training and education that was needed to be able to connect them to further training and employment needed to be able to succeed within the industry. As I mentioned that we have a key ability to be able to work as a workforce intermediary and to be able to really help states and localities to prepare for the future workforce. This has never been more important than it is today, both because of the continued growth of the industry, but also what is coming. The Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, known as BEAD, is providing more than $42 billion in federal investments in broadband infrastructure. Now, much of that money is going to be going to direct deployment of access to broadband and construction associated with that. There are the jobs associated with that are incredibly important to be able to prepare for. And in addition, the program calls for a cohesive state workforce plan that will ensure a skilled workforce to deploy broadband. And it's really important that we see that states are, as they consider what their state plan for workforce is within broadband, that it is more than particular jobs today. It really can focus on the jobs that will benefit from the jobs that are there to benefit from universal broadband and what is going to be happening within the industry, and the number of jobs that are coming in both in deployment of the actual fiber, in wireless, and in the engineering and other jobs associated with really what 5G and broadband really represents. So within that, we've been able to put forward, as really states consider where to go, we have the ability to help support a statewide plan of action for that broadband workforce. Taking advantage of the experience and expertise, our membership, and the number of companies that are engaged with us, as well as the assets through our registered apprenticeship and our training and development programs, and really understanding of the industry, we really see that there is an ability to convene employers and stakeholders around the jobs today and the jobs in the future and competencies that are needed, and really define and validate career pathways that exist from the existing K-12 system, what can be done to improve that and raise awareness and lead to more modern and what future-looking employment and training opportunities. Then through higher education into apprenticeship and employment. That can include building career awareness for broadband careers, education and training, because we know that's vitally important to then help people really access and understand the kinds of education opportunities that are out there. Increase the diversity in that workforce by reaching and incentivizing the ways that employers recruit underrepresented populations that include veterans, women, and people of color. And building industry recognized training into education programs of study. And we think that meshes really nicely both with existing programs that are there as well as future programs that the state of Georgia can really put in place. An example of the value of a statewide strategy for education and workforce development, we think the first of many, is that in the state of Ohio, WIA was selected as the lead industry intermediary, and we worked with Ohio State University in what's known as a broadband and 5G sector partnership. This has been sponsored by the Ohio Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation and has indeed focused on state and then federal investments for broadband and 5G, what that means for the state economy, and really looking to build a cohesive strategy that ties together the awareness of careers, the pathways that exist, and really strengthening those with industry recognized credentials, and then connection to employers. This includes a very broad array of education and training partnerships. As I noted, we work with Ohio State University, that is the center of excellence, and we work very closely then to help that center then provide the kinds of services statewide that are preparing the workforce for telecommunications workforce that's needed. That cuts across career and technical and adult education, and a program that was just launched that we were able to support identifying the best credentials and training at a career center there. The workforce development, both the Office of Workforce Transformation and Department of Job and Family Services, that is the workforce system there in the state through which we're able to work across the career centers in the state with the right kinds of opportunities. Community colleges, including a lead at Terra State Community College, in which we've been able to support a career and technical education program there for utility careers. And two universities, Ashland State and Youngstown State University, in which we were able to launch the 5G Readiness Program, and then that's carried forward. One outcome of this has been that the Ohio Tech Cred program has recognized 4 credentials through the Telecommunications Education Center that are recognized for reimbursement. I will note that Tech Cred is very similar in its objectives to Georgia's Quick Start program, and that program reimburses employers for recognized credentials, and we've been able to pull together 4 credentials for wireless broadband infrastructure, 5G, in-building wireless solutions, and 5G and broadband deployment. So the way it all has come together is that we've been able to serve as an industry intermediary for the broadband sector that we are able to customize as we work with states, as we work with regions, that does look at really the continuum of looking at those needs around career awareness, lack of standardized training that's out there that leads to the kinds of credentials that really matter within for employment and training for people's careers, and aligning education resources, and really being able to then bring people in. And our ability to be a training provider, to convene industry partners, to be able to reach out to raise awareness of the industry, to work with employers on registered apprenticeship programs, and to pull it all together with a center of excellence is something that's been able to pull together the kinds of outcomes that can really matter as things go forward. Of course, we're especially interested in filling the kinds of good paying careers that exist within our industry, but also doing so in such a way that includes high school, community college, and four-year programs that are aligned in a way that people can enter into and succeed within our industry, and are really then preparing people for careers that are able to go forward. It's a scalable model, and one that we're really proud to be able to work as things go forward. To summarize, and we're happy to answer questions, we really are able to put forward turnkey solutions, training and education that meets industry standards in a way that we've been able to work in concert with education and workforce to establish the right kinds of competencies and credentials that really do matter and do provide that lifelong learning in our industry. Registered apprenticeship as a way to really engage employers and continue that learning throughout the cycle of people's careers. And workforce planning that will allow states to be able to think long-term and execute a strategy that ensures that education and training meets the modern needs of telecommunications broadly, and that we're doing everything we can to prepare Georgians for the right kinds of careers. And we stand ready to help support as a workforce partner, aiming to accelerate industry-recognized training and jobs for Georgia's residents. And we'll be happy to answer any questions, and appreciate again very much the opportunity to be able to present to you today.
Thank you very much. The committee have questions? Committee online? Yes, sir. Chairman Dickey.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm a little preoccupied if you've already answered this. I'm trying to follow how your association, you're doing specialized industry training. Is that right, for the corporations that are for their employees that they would send for this training? Is that correct?
We have, thanks very much. The training that we have, we developed with industry, and industry does indeed use the training that we have. However, we've also been able to put that forward, and that's been adopted within universities and colleges and other training partners that we have.
Okay. I guess I'm sitting here thinking about our technical colleges. To what specialization do they train their graduates, or programs do they have that would be a pipeline into this industry? Or are they doing the type of work that this industry needs?
So what we have found is that community colleges and other career and technical education, even universities, have programs. Often they're in IT, they may be in construction, that teach some of the skills that are necessary to really enter within and succeed within telecommunications. What we have found, however, is that we're able to help do an alignment to really look at the needs that are additionally required for success within telecommunications specifically, and particular job clusters, and then to be able to do a gap analysis. And what we have focused on with that boot camp approach is that often there's obviously much to be able to work from, and then an ability to both to add on additional training that can be able to get there. We also do work with then universities and colleges to be able to help support how they can embed additional training within their programs of study that are appropriate for specific additional opportunities to be able to connect directly for the needs of future telecommunications jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Allow me to ask this. you're aware last year under Strickland's bill 379 that work toward additional apprenticeships. Are you able to take further advantage of that? Are you familiar with that piece of legislation?
We've seen that, and we've seen that there are further that there are grants to be able to support expansion of apprenticeship within Georgia, and that's something that will make our companies within the state aware of. But then, in addition, we've been able to work very closely with states in expanding apprenticeships in the state, and have been able to work in concert with the apprenticeship system and the workforce system to be able to make people aware of that and to increase those opportunities.
Okay, well, there wasn't a trick question embedded there at all. I wasn't trying to trip you up. My question was going to be, to the extent you have, you have reviewed and or working with, or you intend to, I'm sure Senator Strickland would love to hear your feedback, as would I. If it's something that needs to be tweaked or expanded, if it is getting a good result. So I was just simply looking to look, Brent, looking for your help there. So
absolutely, we'd be delighted to speak with Senator and to be able to review the program to the extent. Again, we did note that that the telecommunications was there as one of the high demand occupations. So that's definitely a first start, but we'd be happy to review that, including with companies that have apprentices in Ohio, to the extent, I'm sorry, in Georgia, to the extent to which we can offer any feedback that's there, and we'd be happy to do so.
And you mentioned Ohio again. It brings me back to the logo of Ohio State. That's probably not a good thing. No, I'm just joking with you. If they're doing,
no, they're definitely not we all know who's top on the rankings.
If they're doing something up there that we can benefit from, we want to learn and do it better. So I'd see no further questions. I appreciate your time with us this afternoon, and we will be back in touch, if and as we have any questions, and please do the same for us.
Thank you. We very much appreciate it. And again, salute Georgia in its approach to really understanding the training and workforce needs of the future, and building the system that's there for that. And we'll be happy to assist any way we can. Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on in the agenda. We have Dr. Barbara Weil. She's the Deputy Superintendent of Career Technical and Agricultural Education for the Georgia Department of Education. Dr. Weil. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. And you're welcome. And we didn't offer earlier. You're welcome to sit at that table. We can turn on a microphone there if you'd rather sit and present. I don't know if you have does she have a computer? Yeah. So whatever you'd like. I mean, you just got to get in front of that microphone, and we'll turn on the table mic for you. Sometimes people would prefer if they don't need the computer to see if we have you on there.
Testing 1, 2. Does it work? Okay. Well, thank you so much for inviting me today to talk with you about career tech and ag education in the K-12 system. Our mission for career tech and ag education is to provide experiences for our students to prepare them for workplace success. But the reality is that as educators, we cannot accomplish that mission unless we have several partners working with us. These partners include business and industry, and others from the local community, as well as higher education. Career Tech and Ag Education, or CTAE for short, is part of the career pipeline that feeds to higher ed and feeds to the workforce. 68% of our high school students take at least one career tech course in high school. About 36% of these students go on to the university system, and 12% attend the technical college after leaving us. Others go into the military, some go into apprenticeship programs, and then we have some that go into the workforce. 96.7% of our CTAE pathway completers graduate from high school. This is 13.7 percentage points higher than the state average graduation rate. Our career tech programs are in every school system in Georgia. And as you well know, currently Georgia is experiencing shortages across every industry sector. When shortages in the workplace are great, employers automatically turn to our outstanding technical colleges in Georgia for help. But employers also are beginning to realize that K-12 career tech and ag education can also provide some solutions for these shortages and other workforce issues. You may be wondering, what exactly does K-12 Ctae have in place to help address the workforce development in Georgia? During the next few minutes, I want to share with you 9 initiatives that we have at the department that we work with our career tech and ag education students with. I'll briefly describe these. If you want more in depth, I'll be glad to come back later, or someone from my staff can come over and explain in depth with these initiatives to you. The first one is our interest in aptitude assessment. You've probably heard of U-Science. That's the assessment that we provide to all 6th through 12th graders. This assessment helps a student identify their talents. It also helps them to identify the work approach and the best fit careers. It also provides students with a list of descriptors that they can use to describe their talents in the workforce area. A second initiative is industry recognized credentials, or sometimes we call these credentials of value. We offer over 300 in our school systems. And in addition to the industry credentials that we offer, if a student earns a TCC at the technical college while participating in dual enrollment classes, we consider that a credential of value as well. We're currently reviewing the proposed and the existing Ctae credentials, and we want to ensure that they truly are recognized by business and industry. We added a lot of credentials several years ago, and it's time for us to go back, take a look at those, make sure they're really what business and industry needs. We're working with business and industry partners and higher ed partners as we look through those. A third initiative is a comprehensive local needs assessment. This is done with every high school system in Georgia. There are key stakeholders that are identified. Many of these people serve on the local business and industry advisory councils for the career tech programs. And they work with the educators to address the workforce needs of a particular area. Sometimes people just look at their school district, if it's a very large district. Sometimes they may need to do a regional approach in the smaller systems. But they look together and they determine what the workforce needs are in a community. And then they look at the offerings at the high schools and determine, are these the offerings that we really need in order to align with the workforce needs of our community? Work-based learning opportunities is a fourth initiative from the Department of Education. This is where students go to the school part of the day, then they leave, they go to a work site, they remain at that work site a portion of the day, they earn credit, and they earn pay while they're there. One of the, actually the number one factor that improves a high school student's work ethic score is work-based learning. And I know this from a research project that I did a few years ago in Middle Georgia with high school seniors. And, you know, our work-based learning programs are very valuable. They're valuable in many different ways. The work skills that they learn, the employability skills that they actually are able to show while they are experiencing this work-based learning program. And they actually gain experience in the workforce. And they also can help employers with shortages that they have temporarily. We have nearly 27,000 students in our work-based learning programs in Georgia. That's not nearly the number of students that we need to be reaching that could really benefit our employers as well as benefit themselves. We've looked at some innovative practices. This especially occurred during COVID. We started looking at innovative ways to do many different things. During COVID, we were seeing virtual work-based learning opportunities as being very valuable. We had not considered virtual work-based learning opportunities before. This is especially helpful in rural Georgia, where the opportunities are very limited when it comes to the workforce and when transportation is a problem. So we'll be introducing some virtual work-based learning programs over the next few months. We're also going to do some entrepreneurship work-based learning programs. We saw entrepreneurship rise during COVID. And we know with all of the different pathways that we offer, there is an entrepreneurship component that could attach to each of those. This coming summer, we're going to roll out some summer opportunities for work-based learning. This would allow students to work, excuse me, during the summertime. They could gain class credit, which we've never done in the summer before, but that's what we're looking at doing. Students can earn credit, they can earn money, and help employers with some of their summer projects that they need. Work-based learning is it includes apprenticeship programs. We've got some apprenticeship programs in our work-based learning programs throughout Georgia. We are currently working with the Jekyll Island hospitality industry on some needs that they have. We've got one of the hotel managers has got some experience in apprenticeship programs with the hotel and hospitality industry. A group of my staff members were meeting with the technical college this morning. We want to look at the opportunities to put in place an apprenticeship program in this area, as well as some other areas, but this is one that we are actually working on today. But we want this to continue, not end with high school, but to continue and be a registered apprenticeship program. We offer educator externships in our communities. This is for our educators, maybe teachers, counselors, school administrators. This is an opportunity where they go into the workplace and work typically 3 to 5 days. This helps us to stay connected with the current trends that are going on in business and industry. It's really a win-win situation for business and industry as well as educators. We learn about the industry learns about the students that could help them in their workforce. Opportunities to enter the workforce sooner than later are provided to our students. This is through dual enrollment and through articulation agreements that we have. We offer several different pathways and courses to our students in Georgia. We started offering ag courses at the elementary school a few years ago, and this is a way to expose students early on about different careers. We can't wait until they graduate from high school and say, well, what you going to be? You got to start thinking about that early. So we started that with the ag programs. We will be rolling out other program areas this time next year, so that schools can help students become exposed in those early years. In the middle school level, we actually have students doing a more in-depth exploration. They've been exposed, and then in middle school, they can explore. All of our courses for our middle schools have been updated within the last year, and they are aligned with the courses and the pathways that are taught at the high school. We've got over 140 career tech pathways. A pathway at the high school level consists of a group of 3 courses in any given program area. So we've got over 140 of those. They're aligned to the 16 different career clusters from the national level, plus energy here in Georgia. The high school is when we really get the students to engage more in a career. They've been exposed, they've explored, and now they're really trying to get them truly engaged. We started offering something to local districts a few years ago, and this was an opportunity to create some local pathways. If there was a need in their area that we were not addressing with the pathways that we had, we would be glad to help them. Some of the local pathways that we've developed are commercial fishing management, international business concepts, industrial maintenance, granite technology, workforce ready, and heavy equipment operations. So these may not be needed in every area of Georgia, but when they've been identified in an area, We help those schools develop that. Then the courses can be used throughout the state as needed. I've been at the department for a little over 7 years, and one of my main goals was to help clarify the connection between CTAE and economic development. We've done this in 2 different ways. We created a position for an economic development liaison, and we also have partnered with the Georgia Economic Developers Association and Georgia Power to offer what we call an economic development partnership. This is a distinction that school systems can volunteer to go through. We call it EDP for short, and it recognizes school districts that understand the role career tech plays in economic development through the partnerships with business and industry in their local area as well as regional area, and also through the pathway alignments that are aligned with the workforce needs in a particular area. This process cannot be done with the school system alone. This is a process that has to engage the various partners, business and industry, Chamber of Commerce, economic developers, and post-secondary, as well as other folks in the local community. Many of the local economic developers, I must say, have actually been the catalyst to help drive this particular distinction that some of these schools are earning. We started this with a pilot group in 2019, and we awarded 5 different school systems this award. And it was, these systems include Newton County, Muskogee, Wayne County, Whitfield County, and Marietta City. Due to COVID, we had to put this on hold, and we just offered this last year. And last week, we were at the conference in Savannah with the economic developers, and we were able to offer this distinction to 6 other school districts in Georgia: Savannah Chatham, Hall County, Fanning County, Barrow County, Bullock County, and Floyd County. We've got 7 school districts that have applied for this this coming year that we'll be working with. This includes Calhoun City, Dublin City, Liberty County, Troup County, Gordon County, Dawson County, and Bibb County. So this is, when we go and we visit these communities for their final visit, it's almost like a celebration. These schools and communities have really been engaged. And at the beginning of this process, they look at the rubric, they look at what all is required, and sometimes they'll see a few little gaps. They're able to tweak that. And then by that final visit, it is truly a celebration of some great work going on in these communities. We developed a 5-year plan a few years ago. This is the last year of that plan. So we're looking forward and we're looking ahead to the next 5 years. So we have started selecting our steering committee. The steering committee will be chaired by Stuart Countess that spoke this morning from Kia. We will have a co-chair, which is Joseph Lillyblad from Georgia Power with their workforce development group. I talked with Commissioner Wilson last week. He assured me that either he or someone from his staff would serve on this steering committee. We will have a host of business folks on there serving the different cluster areas. We'll have educators on the committee, very similar to what we did in our strategic plan that's going out now. This is a copy of our strategic plan. Carl Vinson Institute did serve as our facilitator. This plan has served us well, but since this plan was created, much has happened. We've experienced COVID. Our whole world has changed. So we definitely see the need of doing something new, something that is going to address our world a little better now. We're looking forward to this work on this actual strategic plan. We've got 3 steering committees that we'll work with. Then we'll have several different focus group meetings that we'll host across the state with various groups. In closing, our K-12 CTAE programs are a part of the Georgia Career Pipeline. I've shared 9 different workforce development initiatives that we support through the Career Tech programs. And I want to leave y'all a copy of the profile of a Georgia CTAE graduate. This actually takes all of those different initiatives that I've just mentioned to you, as well as some others, and it shows how these fit together. This profile of a Georgia graduate is some work that we put together that addresses the 6 characteristics that we believe all career tech students should graduate high school with. And you'll see those here on the front of the book. Be workplace ready, demonstrate academic and technical skills, communicate effectively, solve problems creatively, collaborate purposefully, and act responsibly. Inside, you'll see how 3 different folks at the school level can assist students in achieving these characteristics. These are our teachers, our counselors, and our administrators. There's student indicators for each of these characteristics, students' evidence of attainment, and then you'll see what the administrator can do to support each of these different characteristics, what the counselor can do to support those characteristics, as well as the teacher. Okay, and I will take any of your questions now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Weil, for being here. And I'm certainly a huge fan of our Ctae programs. I just think
Thank
the data, the success from these students just stands out throughout our state. And I'm just so proud of what we do. You said, I think 68% of students take at least one course.
That's right.
How can we expand to get more students to take more than one? I mean, the students that go through our Ctae program, as you know, are so successful at whatever they're doing, whether they're going to college or technical workforce.
Mm-hmm.
This program just turns out a successful student. What's the barriers to getting more students that need to be in Ctae?
Well, part of it is a mindset.
Yeah.
And it's the perception of career tech. You know, career tech is associated with the old VOTech, where those kids that can't be successful anywhere else can go and do something with their hands on. We know that that's no longer true. That I truly believe all of our students need some experience in that career
I
tech
couldn't
world.
agree more.
We all want, I think all parents want their kids to get a job one day, get off of their payrolls, and expose them to various careers, I think is a way of doing it.
Yeah. Is it, of course, you develop curriculum at the state level, but it's implemented at a local level.
That's true.
Is budgetary an issue, or just what's or is there any budgetary issues at a local level to keep schools from expanding their programs or making it more accessible?
Many times you have a career tech director, especially in our smaller districts, that wears so many hats that it's hard to really focus on the work of the career tech. You know, they're wearing the hat of a teacher. They may be a teacher, they may be a work-based learning coordinator and a career tech director. That's hard to do. I don't care how good you are. So, you know, I think, you know, having that dedicated career tech director, that work-based learning person, you know, those 2 people are key in having a successful career tech program. All of the other functions of the school are certainly important, but, you know, it's just like football, you know, you got to have the coaches there, but they can't coach and be an FFA advisor too. It's the same thing, and both are important. You know, the FFA advisor is important, football coaching is important, and academics are important. Career tech is too, and it's hard for one person to handle multiple jobs. I think that's one thing that would certainly help.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I ask you, do you find this missing in, I mean, is it geographic? I'm sorry, is it geographic? Is it, are there certain geographic areas of the state that have less, for instance, Metro Atlanta? Is this just something that's lacking in Metro Atlanta or lacking in, you know, I mean, I don't want to pick on, I'm not trying to pick, I'm just trying to look at it. Is it more apt to happen in a suburban, more suburban ex-urban rural area than
We've got excellent programs all across Georgia. There are some schools that have fewer programs than others. They may have a stronger focus on higher level academics rather than career tech. Many times in some of our rural districts, although our legislators are quite generous with the funding that we get for our equipment, that equipment funding is for new buildings or renovated buildings. And with some of our districts, they're so strapped with funds that they haven't been able to provide equipment. They can't build a building. They don't have the money to do it, or they can't renovate. So they don't get equipment that's needed with some of the bond equipment that we have.
Yeah, and I'm not trying, I'm gonna go back and ask, and we may not have that,
Okay.
but this is not like to point out a deficiency in the school system in the metro area. I'm just wondering if you just find it in more, rural, suburban, ex-urban areas that career tech is than more in like I mean, I'm going to say APS, and I don't mean anything with the Atlanta public school system, but do they offer these? Okay, so they do. So they're, I mean, you don't get any more, in the city than APS.
Well,
So it is available across place. So it's really just what a school system, finds or thinks they find about the need for it.
Yes. And, for so many years in our school districts, we've just added a program. Oh, we don't have this, let's add this. And we haven't really thought about how that connects to our industry needs. That's a new feature that we have really started pushing for these last few years since we've gotten into Perkins 5. How do your programs reflect the needs of business and industry?
Well, certainly we're a higher ed subcommittee, not a K through 12 subcommittee. I don't want to get ahead of Chairman Dubnik when we're doing this, but it certainly we've heard in the first meeting, sort of soft skills, interpersonal skills, working together skills that were missing across the world. And I know of some people that have graduated from University of Georgia with a 4-year degree in finance or accounting or whatever, that when they go to their first job, that their company has them do everything. Yeah. I mean, it's literally, if you're going to be a director of this or an accounting director, but first you go stock shelves, you work a checkout counter, you do receiving, you do shipping, you do all those things, that because it's important for you to know how the business runs if you're going to keep the books for the business. So I mean, it would seem, as Chairman Dickey said, that regardless of what you're going to be at the end of the day, some hands-on experience. I mean, it brings back to me the old cliche. I mean, this is cliche story told over and over again, that the school children, went out on a field trip out of New York City, and we're told milk comes from cows. I'm sure this is not a true story. It was to make a point, but they thought it came from, Kroger or Publix. But it depends on the environment, you grow up in. So, I mean, it's important to see. So I was just curious if it was sort of geographic.
You asked me about Metro Atlanta and all. I'm thinking career tech, broad-based.
Right.
When we think about ag, which is part of career tech, there are more ag programs in rural Georgia.
Oh, well,
than
sure.
there
I
are
mean, yeah.
in Metro Atlanta. But we're looking at, some urban, suburban opportunities.
Well, I know I was on the phone with the Farm Bureau representative from Fulton County yesterday, and I'll meet with them later this week. And they're young, farmer at Cambridge High School, that Dakota, and we're going to meet later, because there's a pretty robust, program in that. I mean, robust for that area, if you will, out of Cambridge High School, that they're working with, in city. The Alpharetta has a community garden and farms, and not farms as the largest peach farm in the state of Georgia would know, but their version of agriculture, because it's important again for young people to learn that as they grow up. Are there further questions for Dr. Weil? Further questions? Well, I know you have a colleague back there from the Department of Education. I don't know if he wanted to add, or did you just come to monitor us this afternoon. I think you might be busy doing something else. We're looking for you. No, I'm sorry. Just yeah, I knew you were multitasking, but did you have anything else you wanted to add for us? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sure you're working hard for the superintendent over there. So there you go. No, we do want to work in conjunction with you, and we'd love to put that together. So I thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I see none. Yes, sir. We do. You do have one more.
Is so many of our young people don't get work experience. They don't get the soft skills. And when they get to the workforce, I mean, it's tough to teach skills if you don't have some soft skills or some prior work experience. And I think our Ctae program is so important, giving young people that. And so, and that's what my question was: how can we get more participation in our high schools with that, so the pipeline going to our technical colleges, going to our higher universities will, so those students will be more successful. So we'll work on that. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to we're finished up maybe a minute or two early, but brings us to the conclusion of our agenda for meeting number 2. We will meet at least one more time. And the goal here, I apologize. I know this meeting was called together kind of in the last 10, well, inside of 2 weeks. I don't know if it was 10 days, but that's my fault for being a little bit late in getting together. It's my fault for trying to be all things to all people. We had speakers that had other places they need to be. We had members that had places they need to be. And this is a very busy time of the year. We're going to get the next one on earlier than we have. And at that point, we will going to ask each of you to look at what we have. We have some notes from the first meeting. I'll get the notes out for this meeting. And we're going to look at ways that we can put emphasis on the things that are working out there and tie things together, as Chairman Dickey said, so that we can, prepare for probably a fourth and final meeting to come up with some recommendations that we bring forward. Again, keeping in mind we want to try to see if we can do more with what we have, because I don't want this to just be a committee that we come forward and say, if we had more money, we could do this. We need to do what we ask departments to do a lot of times, and that is to get a better result with the money we're spending. And then, of course, if there are things that we think can be additive and in partnership with the private sector, we could certainly do that. But in the meantime, I thank everyone for their time in coming. I thank those that joined us, committee members that were multitasking themselves and had to join us online. And, it's final note before we adjourn, ask any of the folks here, do y'all have anything you'd like to add? Representative Bentley? I do before we adjourn, not knowing anything about the situation down in Albany State. I do want to just, I believe it was a female student that was found over the weekend that had passed in her room. Was that not Albany State? If I have, I am confirmed as always that had just passed over the weekend in their dorm, and we don't know the circumstance of that. It doesn't appear to be any criminal action or whatever, but that's still a loss to a student population and in a family, of course, somewhere. But it's just in a tight knit college, university. Their thoughts and prayers go out to that family and that university and college family. I did just want to mention that. So there's nothing further. We will stand adjourned. I thank everybody for coming without objection. I see none. We are adjourned.